Okay, so it was spring cleaning time in the shop not that long ago, and I was thinking about how much money I've wasted on tools over the years. So I decided to pick 5 of them, and these ones cost me real money, not pocket change. Each one is something that I regret for different reasons, and with one of them, it went just way beyond money, but we'll get to that. All right, starting at number 5, the pin nailer. A brad nailer earns its keep. I mean, I use it for stuff like baseboards in the house or maybe some shop jigs, but the pin nailer, I saw it in an Adam Savage video and he was sort of talking about how great it is for tacking something in place while glue dries. And my issue was I kind of bought a tool for a problem that didn't really exist. I have tape, I have clamps, I have super glue. I have all these solutions for holding a small piece in place while other glue dries or I'm doing something else with it. Why did I need a specific tool for this? I don't know. If you do like super delicate work where things are laying on their back and you don't have to hold something up vertically, maybe there's a place for a pin nailer for you. I'm not going to judge, but for me, it just never made sense. And that thing has been collecting dust like crazy. Okay, let's talk about number 4. The scroll saw. I mean, a scroll saw is really good for one thing, which is interior cuts on a piece. You know, you drill a hole, put the blade through it, cut out the inside. But for me, I found that I almost never need to make that kind of cut. There's lots of people out there who make a living with a scroll saw, but it's just not me, and it's just not what I use in my shop. So for the curves and cutouts that I actually make around the outside of pieces, the bandsaw's got it. And if I ever do need to do an interior cut, I can just drill that same hole and use a jigsaw for it, or a router even. And you know, I don't even have this thing to show you anymore. That's how done with it I was. It collected dust under my shelf for like 2 years. And just recently I finally got rid of it. Okay, next up, we've got fancy clamps, or maybe we should say specialty clamps. I mean, look, I get it. I love buying clamps as much as any woodworker, but sometimes it's easy to go a little bit too far. The classic example of this for me is these like Lee Valley or Veritas picture frame clamps. Clamping up picture frames can be a real issue, especially when you're starting out. You know, those miters want to slide around, things are skewing out of, you know, right angles, and it's okay to want to buy a solution to that problem. I paid almost $60 for these things, and even setting the price aside, these things are fiddly to set up. Once I got everything squared and, you know, turned knobs and slid things along rods, I'm not convinced that they do a better job than just taping things up with painter's tape. For $60, I want a tool that's clearly better than tape, and I'm not sure this one was. I mean, tell me I'm wrong, but for small frames, is there genuinely a miter that tape can't hold? All right, let's get into number 2. Rigid sander. And specifically here, I'm talking about that combo belt spindle sander that seems to be in every woodworker shop, at least on YouTube. And so I picked it up and I figured that I would use it kind of constantly, but I barely did. Normally that would just make it another tool in my shop that, you know, was a waste of money. It makes me angry when I see it, fine. But this one, a few months in, I went to use it and all of a sudden the motor's just pouring smoke out. And I checked, it was all set up correctly, but smoke's pouring out, the belt's not turning, this thing is messed up. And so I tried to take advantage of that, you know, legendary rigid warranty that everybody talks about and was a big part of the reason that I buy their tools. And they wouldn't commit to fixing it or replacing it. They wanted me to drive more than an hour each way to go to some authorized dealer and hope that they said, okay, sure, fine, we'll do something with it. You know, with no promise of any fix, no promise that I was going to drive 2+ hours and have any results, I kind of just did the math on my time and realized that, you know, maybe this thing just wasn't worth it. And, you know, that's the thing that's really frustrating. I mean, buying a bad tool or buying a tool that I regret or was super expensive, that's fine. That's on me. Buying a tool, not using it more than like 4 or 5 times before it just completely explodes on you, and then not having them back it up is like, man, it just goes way beyond a waste of money and just like becomes, I don't know, like psychologically hurtful. And it's made me really reluctant to recommend more rigid tools to some folks. Anyway, let's talk about the number one tool on this list. Dovetail Jig. This one's a bit different. I bought it because it was like an aspirational thing. I wanted to be like the machine perfect dovetails guy at some point. And these things aren't cheap. I mean, it's hundreds of dollars for these hunks of metal that you have to get aligned and you have to clamp the thing down. And every single time that I went to use it, I would blow 20 to 30 minutes of my already limited shop time, you know, adjusting, doing a test cut, adjusting some more, wasting some more wood on test cuts. And it just became too much of a pain to use. What the jig was selling me was fussiness dressed up as a skill. I mean, if you're cranking out drawer boxes or like this makes sense in your workflow, like all the more power to you, but it just doesn't for me. The longer I do this, the more I realize that I want to learn the skills. I want the fundamental skills. I don't want to skip over it. Even if the result ends up looking roughly the same, like my experience of it and my enjoyment of this hobby just goes way down if I take too many shortcuts. So that's 5 tools, and not a single one has failed me in the exact same way as any of the others. But there is a thread that connects all of them, and that's me. I bought a lot of these tools because of the woodworker that I imagined myself wanting to be, or the shop that I thought I wanted to have. But looking around here now, the reality is that the shop I have today didn't need any of these tools. And so I think that's the lesson here. Buy for the work that you're actually doing and just, man, spend it where it counts, leave the rest. So that's 5 tools that I bought and regret. But there's one tool that I regret not getting for years, a router table. If you're using a router without one, the next video is for you. You really shouldn't wait as long as I did.